Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions. This is Unshackled Fury.
The Midnight Alpha is rolling as things finally seem to be settling into a good groove. And this dumb little show for the everyday player turns 10 years old. So welcome back for episode 171 of your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions, Unshackled Fury. I'm your host, Berzerker, and with me once again is the man who begs the question, can someone be too handsome? Mr. Jez Corden. Welcome back again, good sir.
Hello, good sir. It's good to be back. And interestingly, first show that I've been a part of that was on camera, which is pretty cool, pretty interesting.
It's been a while. Since we've done anything live. I did one live show. I want to say it was almost 3 years ago. We did one live show on Twitch, and that was it. So this is a momentous occasion for sure, and I'm fiddle fucking around with all kinds of stuff on this. So the plan here is for this big 10th anniversary episode is that we're recording this. It's not like live, like we're not streaming this thing, but I'm planning on uploading this to our long bereft YouTube page, which is just sat there and done nothing. So hopefully we'll have this out for that, plus the regular podcast. We're trying some new things here, and it may work, it may not. Kind of like the whole sort of thesis of the show is it may be good, it may be shit. I don't know. And we're going to find out how good these YouTube censors are and whether they care about how we run things here. So lots of experimentation going on today, but good to have you here, sir. I think it's one of the first times I've seen you live in person since we've recorded, so it was cool getting a tour of your room and your black ceilings. It's very metal up in your joint. I'm jealous. I think you got the right vibe.
Man, it's sometimes I regret it because it's like, man, it is so dark in here, even when I've got like all the lights turned on, and like sometimes I need to photograph things for work, like products or something, and it's just there's just no light, you know. And I got in my girlfriend's house and her bedroom's like pink. So it's like, you know, the other extreme, right? But yeah, it's this is my humble abode.
I think that's what they say.
True, yeah, seriously, yeah. But yeah, this is the gamer room, you know, Horde Red, you know.
It's impressive.
You know, gotta represent, right?
You
Horde
do
Red.
Represent.
Horde.
We are very Horde coded in our coloring here. I mean, it just so happens that the show sort of colors, you know, and even like my tattoo, right? A lot of red and black on that, and so it's the right vibe. Lions through and through for me, but that's the right vibe. So not all is lost, Jez.
That's how we roll, man.
So this is the 10th anniversary show, and as we record this, it is literally the day of. 10 years today was the launch of this podcast, and we're going to do a regular episode. We got lots of news and lots of stuff to talk about, but I did want to just kind of lay out, we'll do all the news, do all that, and then I've got some stuff at the end just kind of about the show, and we got some great questions from folks in our Discord, so we're gonna go through some of that, but before we get to anything else, we got to talk about our metal album, and I wanted to do like a metal album of the podcast, like something.
Oh, snap!
Yes, it's like one of those ones that really is near and dear to my heart, and it's so central to kind of, you know, my life and being a warrior and all these kinds of things. So from May of 2008 is the album The Art of War by Sabaton, and this one is full of anthems for them. Ghost Division, of course, the Swedish pagan song that the lead singer hates singing, but everybody makes him sing, and it's always a good time when we make him do those things. But Sabaton, one of my favorite all-time bands. It's certainly one that I've listened to a lot while playing Warcraft, and just that sort of vibe very much has informed, I don't know, the aesthetic for a lot of things around my life, particularly with Warcraft and this podcast. And I've brought them up before, but Jez, does Sabaton ever cross your purview in your metal?
I have to admit, I haven't heard Sabaton. I know I've heard of them. I've never listened to them. I'm a bad metalhead, but
you're my European hookup. You're supposed to be listening to this stuff.
Are they like Swedish melodic metal, like In Flames or something like that?
Kind of. They're a little more, you know, every song that they write is about some sort of historical something, like a person or an event or a battle or whatever. You know, Art of War is interspersed with
concept albums.
Yeah, it's a concept album, and it's interspersed with sayings from Sun Tzu's Art of War, at least one translated version of it. So it's very, very big and very melodic, and like a lot of anthems, right? Like fist pumping. You're ready to roll. It is the quintessential Sabaton album, and it is something that's so foundational here. So 2008, Art of War, Sabaton. If you've never seen them live, they're about to be on tour. I believe they're in Europe right now, and they'll be in the States next year. I'll be going to a show for sure. So I'll send you some pics, guys, and we'll party from there. But that's one that if you haven't listened to, please get out there. Enjoy Sabaton. They got a new album coming out this week, as a matter of fact, and I should have the name of it. I believe it's Legends, but I'm bad, and I completely biffed on this one. And this is what happens when you do shit live, and you think, oh yeah, I probably could pull this up. So I'm just gonna pull this up now and be like, oh, what is it? Yes, it's Legends. Ha, I got it right. Yes, let's go. So there you go. Sabaton, Art of War, make it happen. With that being said, I'm looking at the music here, and it keeps playing the same song over and over. So I'm already learning lessons about how to do the background music here, and hopefully you won't hear Lions Pride too many more times before the show.
I wasn't sure if that was the plan or not. I was going to say, like,
no, it's definitely not the plan.
I can't hear you that well.
No, they let's see, fade track in and out. I don't know, fade track in and out. Loop track. I don't want a loop track. Well, see, we're learning in real time here how this fucking thing works here. So just bear with me as we figure it out. So I may have to manually hit all of these one by one, but we'll figure it out. Thanks for being here. That isn't what the Rage segment is about this week, although now it could be. But we're going to go ahead and get into that portion of the show. Let's go.
Let's rage.
Rage.
Let's rage.
Oh, this is going so well. I'm so excited. This is the best of all time. Oh my goodness. This is just clusterfuck. I'm doing too much, folks. That's what it is. I'm doing too much, as the kids would say. All right. So 10 years ago, I came out here to the podcasting landscape, and I had a lament, an initial lament that I felt was important then, and 10 years later, I still feel that it's important now. It would have to do with Beloved Brewfest. Beloved Brewfest, yes, that just closed, and I did not get nearly enough runs on Core and Dire Brew. I did not get the new mount. The homie Rommel did, and good for him. But in that season, in that event that we have a longtime favorite, Pink Elix on Parade. It's a quest where you got to go around and you got to get shithoused, and you're supposed to get shithoused enough to where you can see Pink Elix, and then you got to capture him and do a whole thing and whatnot. And then, as now, they have circumvented the entire spirit of this event, Jez, by allowing you to purchase and utilize Synth Brew goggles to get around the necessity for getting smashed and then seeing your pink elephants. You don't have to earn them. You learn no lessons. And one of the points that I had made then, which has come to fruition, Jez, is that the kids, they learn nothing this way. They learn nothing this way by having to cheat to be able to see such, apparitions in their lives, because this is the kind of thing that's important, where young people learn when you get hammered, things go down, and they may not always be good things.
Sometimes they have consequences, as I found out this past weekend.
That a fact?
Sure is.
Oh, see?
Just ask people listening to my other podcast on Friday when I drank half a bottle of vodka. Oh man, I was laying low on Saturday. Put it that way.
And these are the lessons that the kids need to know, and how this has come to fruition, Jez, all these years later. Is there was an observation that somebody made that I completely agree with, is that Gen Z knows drinks. Gen Z knows how to make drinks, pretty drinks, convoluted drinks, tasty drinks where you don't taste the booze. But millennials and Gen X, we know how to drink. We have taken it on at times in our lives as a challenge and a sport. And if you never had the beer helmet with the two beers on the sides going straight into one straw into your gullet, then you truly have not lived. And all these years later, Jez, Synth Brew goggles still exist. They're still around. The kids are learning nothing. And it really, truly is, Jez, the downfall of society. But I don't know. It's been a while since I've gotten just blackout drunk. How is the overindulgence scene these days? What am I missing out on?
Oh man, well, I don't know. Kind of like at my age, or at our age, you're losing out on hangovers and regrets, I suppose. Mostly
hangovers and regrets. That's how you learn the most lessons.
That's true, I suppose.
Well, a decade on, Blizzard has helped me none, has not availed themselves to my quest to make sure that the children across the land have learned important lessons about drinking. But
everything in moderation,
continue.
Right?
What's that?
Everything in moderation, right?
I don't know. That's what they say. That's what they say. But I don't know how much of that I believe or don't believe. So there you go. 10 years on, still raging about Synth Brew goggles. And maybe one day I'll get a break. Meanwhile, Jez, we got a whole bunch of news, some good news, some great news to get into. So let's see if I can successfully get us in to that. I think that might have kind of worked. Look at that. Look at that. I hear music. There we go. All right. Whew, man, I'm already exhausted. We got so far to go. What a day. What a day. Welcome to the big episode. All right. October 1st, we finally had the deep dive that we probably should have had out of Blizzard from the beginning. As you know, because Jez, you were there at Gamescom when the midnight rollout occurred, and as has long been belabored by us at this point, it was I don't know. I think unmitigated disaster is probably too strong a term, but it would definitely didn't seem to go according to plan. Is it? Am I safe in saying that?
No, I think that's the diplomatic take.
Well, we'll try that one for today. Uh, but finally, October 1st, we had our midnight deep dive with Metzen and with Ian. And, I said it then, I stand by it. Anytime you roll out Chris Metzen, my personal Lord and Savior, it's a home run. I don't care what he says. He's reading a phone book. It's still good. It was very brief. He came out. He essentially, kind of laid the path of it's a darker chapter and these dark forces. And he looked a little awkward, almost kind of. Had this big, huge chair that he was sitting in, and he's kind of, I don't know. He looked a little uncomfortable. Get my man a more comfortable chair in there. But he gave us the quick rundown of the dark forces coming to snuff out the light and all that great stuff that Chris Metzen says. And then Ian came out and essentially gave us the rundown of the story and zones and dungeons and delves and like all the regular kit and caboodle that we've kind of seen up to this point. But it really felt like that was the first like official professional piece that they'd put out that ties everything together and really gave me the sense of, all right, now I'm excited, now I'm with this, now I'm ready to jam and do the whole thing. Did you get a chance to look at it live or watch it later, and what kind of thoughts do you have about it?
I kind of cheated. The press was showing it early, I think. So, yeah, so I watched it early because I'm special, right? But yeah, that was definitely, I felt the exact same way as you did. That was like the moment where I was like, oh yeah, there's a new expansion coming, because it does feel like back in the day we used to have. I think we talked about it the last time as well. Like we used to have this sort of big BlizzCon blowout, all on stage, live audience, all this sort of excitement and this hype. It was quite old school,
Mm-hmm.
It was like E3 coded almost. Like back in the day, we used to have E3 where they announced all the new games, stuff like that. But in the like digital age, everything just kind of trickles out via streams, via YouTube videos and live Q&A and things like that. And I think Midnight's been probably the most trickled out expansion ever because they announced it they announced it as part of the saga, right? With Last Titan next.
Yeah.
So you kind of already you lose that kind of that sort of exciting moment. But I get why they did it because it's supposed to be like it's sort of like a trilogy almost, right? They've never done things like this before. So I get why they've done it. It's cool to try new things, but at the same time, it's like you've kind of dampened that sort of like, oh my god, new expansion moment. What's it going to be about and stuff like that. I remember when because back in the day, at least to some degree, I feel like I don't know, expansions were like almost a surprise to some degree because the stories were sort of they did tie together, but not as aggressively as they do now. So like you could just kind of guess where things were going back these days, whereas like last time it was like it was a pretty big surprise,
Huge.
when we went from Naxxramas to Outland, It was a bit of a surprise because it's not like the story of the Naxxramas patch tied into Burning Crusade in any way.
No,
so
I didn't miss anything. Okay,
I don't think it did, unless I'm misremembering. But
no.
I remember being surprised, like, oh yeah, that was in Warcraft 3, and it was nothing to do with anything that happened in the story up to that point, right? It was just like, oh, the Dark Pool's open again, deal with it, But yeah, it does feel like they'll probably make adjustments based on feedback around that, and probably to some degree, the way they handled this most recent Q&A was probably to address some of those concerns. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, it was much more exciting, I thought, and much more interesting. We got a more detailed look at all the systems they're bringing forth, housing, all that kind of stuff, and obviously, a lot of us have had the privilege of trying it out in the alpha too, so we'll be talking about that, I suppose, in a bit. But yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's always good to level set, and they, I think, had to get back to that. They had to put things together into one sort of cohesive, I don't know, package. And they've done that quite well, I think, with the Q&A, and then with the deep dive, and then the Q&A, which they ran immediately after that. I was wondering at the time how live it was or wasn't going to be, and how spontaneous some of the questions may or may not be. So it's curated. I don't blame them. That's why BlizzCon's so great, when people are asking every dumbass question under the sun that's totally random and unscripted, and that's when it's the best, and that's always been my favorite BlizzCon moments. But they did touch on quite a few things in the Q&A. I was genuinely surprised at how many questions they ripped through. It was quite a number. Sorry to hear that there's no glyph overhaul. I'm still holding out for that headbutt glyph for the warrior interrupt instead of the pummel, because I don't know, pummel sounds cool, but headbutt way better. I've said it then, and I'll say it now. Smashing somebody across the bridge of their nose with your forehead while they're trying to cast a spell will fuck them up every time. So I'm just going to stand by that. But some of the interesting things coming out of that, Jez, there will not be cross-faction housing in the neighborhoods. We talked about that before.
Yay!
The aesthetics will remain. So no alliance in your horde and no horde in my alliance. So Jez, we are going to continue to keep to our own.
Yeah, I feel like I'm an old man yelling at Cloud about some of this stuff, but like some of my guildies were like, "Oh, this sucks." I want it to be, because my guild is very, very 50-50 at this point, I think.
Wow.
We're playing an RP server as well, so there's a lot of role players in the guild, and Horde role play is practically dead because Blizzard's given up on Horde lore, basically. So most role players now gravitate towards Alliance, at least in Europe. Like the European, all the European Horde communities for RP are pretty much dead, at least for like random public RP.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad actually.
Ooh.
It's a whole thing. But but the guild is, canonically at least, Horde. So it does seem like we'll end up making a Horde neighborhooded guild, but some people who obviously play Alliance, they're like, "Oh, why can't we just mix it together?" And I'm just like, man, I don't want that. I still want the Horde versus Alliance faction war, but I also think like
another one.
Just it doesn't have to be all out war, but like it used to be. Like it was almost like a shadow war back then, or a proxy war almost.
Yeah.
Like Ultra Valley was not all out war. It was like a proxy war between two Horde and Alliance heavily aligned sort of sub factions, kind of.
Yeah.
I think WoW was better for that. It made you feel pride for your character and your faction or whatever. But I also, acknowledge the fact that I think a lot of players don't really care about that stuff anymore. I don't really care about the lore.
Maybe not as much.
And I think honestly, not caring about the lore and the faction stuff is symptomatic of the fact that Blizzard has sort of downplayed it a lot. I don't know why they've done that. I think they think that it might be better for the game or whatever, but I think faction pride and stuff like that it's strong for marketing. It's strong for immersion, and I think it's strong for the way people identify with the game. I'm going off on a tangent here a little bit, but
no, you're good.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they eventually just capitulate on that as well and just be like, fuck it, put whatever you want, wherever you want. I honestly wouldn't be surprised, but we'll see what happens.
This is gonna be like Covenants, where there was the hold against doing things the way the player base wanted. Like, no, we're gonna hold. You gotta commit to one or whatever the thing is, and eventually they relented. Pull the parachute.
I suppose it depends what. Yeah, I suppose it depends what the community lobbies for at the end of the day. I think most people kind of get that you wouldn't have an Alliance architectured house in Orgrimmar. Like,
it would be really awkward,
especially if it was like a Night Elf house. After all what's gone on, I really feel like Blizzard's really hoping that the players forget that the Horde did a literal genocide.
What's a Teldrassil?
What's a Teldrassil? It's becoming like the sword. It's like, what's a Teldrassil? You can't just sweep that under the rug. You can't just do it. But
they're gonna try.
I mean, like, they're trying, man. They're trying. Man, but I don't know. like I said, it feels a bit like Old Man Yells at Cloud a little bit, but we'll see where it goes.
I feel you. We're very much aligned on that particular issue. I think that keeping the war in Warcraft is important. No, you don't have to go hard all the time, but in preparation for today, and I know we're going way off on a tangent here, but I was watching the Warcraft movie earlier, and
really,
and I was watching, that version of Gul'dan. I'm like, this is Jez right here. It's the Fel, and they're stealing all the life of the Draenei that have been captured, and he's just so evil. Bad. And I was like, this is Jez. This is the Jez Warlock right here. This is the one. So I'm with it. I
love that movie, man. I love that movie. Like I know, like. I just kind of accepted it for what it was. I wasn't expecting it to be amazing. And I know, like, they had to pack a lot of lore into a short amount of time. And I think the editor, the director said a lot got cut out by the studio. So, like, I remember watching it with some friends, and they were like, they're sort of aware of Warcraft or Horde Alliance, but they don't know, like, the deeper lore and stuff. So we kept having to pause it every few minutes so I could explain who people were and what was going on, because so much of it that was contextual was removed to pad the runtime, or de-pad the runtime, rather.
Still waiting for the Duncan Jones director's cut. One of these days.
That'd be... I want it, man.
Well, the deleted scene is the only way you see Metzen when he was a shopkeeper, right? Like, there's things to be seen.
They deleted that?
Yes. See?
So dumb.
Terrible decision making. Well, back to the Q&A after we had a little tangent there. So yes, no cross faction housing aesthetics. So Jez, you and I are saved on there. A couple of other interesting items I thought they touched on in particular. They are still working on the old reputations to be warbound. So that's something that they promised that hasn't quite come to fruition yet, but they claim they're still working on it. No legendary on the horizon, but I have to believe it's going to be one in Last Titan. If this is like all a love letter to 20 years of Warcraft, there's got to be something. Like, I don't know, Illidan's eyeball. So I don't know, something. There's got to be like some kind of legendary that we got to go after.
Illidan's eyeball. Illidan.
No world revamp, Jez. I'm sorry. They were directly asked about revamping the old world, and they said that was not something that they're on the path to do. But they are kind of looking to go. They are going zone by zone in these expansions now, and at least the next two. So maybe they'll do it piece by piece. But I'm sorry, buddy. It's just not. It's just not in the cards right now.
It's a mistake, man. It's a mistake.
We also had a question about adding your warband as your followers in follower dungeons. I thought that was a wonderful question, and they are looking at it. They mentioned that the tech to do it is still a hurdle, but I like that somebody did ask about that, because I think that would be really like a cool immersive thing should they do it.
That'd be awesome,
but Jez,
man.
maybe the biggest news: Valor Stones are dead.
Yes, I'm surprised they did that, because Valor Stones literally function as a time gating mechanic. There's no other reason for them to exist. So I'm thinking, like, without Valor Stones, people are going to clear stuff and level up a lot quicker, which I'm not against, frankly, because I got so many games I want to play and just so little time. So like I was like, honestly, because we got ahead of the curve, we killed Dimensius 2 weeks ago, something like that. So I'm like relieved a little bit, because like, okay, now I can hit my backlog and play Silksong. Battlefield 6 just came out, and all these other games I want to play. Ultimate First World Problems, right? But now Legion Remix is here, so gotta play that now. I've got to have fun.
No. Oh my god!
I feel like I have to play it, because it's like FOMO, isn't it? Because it's like, if I don't play it now, I'm not gonna. Those mounts that I really want, like the Infernal, the Infernal mount from Gul'dan. I've been grinding for that for years. This is the easiest way to get it. So if I don't get it now, I'm probably never gonna get it. So I have to play it. The FOMO worked. Good job, Blizzard.
Psychological warfare at its best. What are we even doing here? This is mad.
I know, right?
More than all of those more than all of those, perhaps, the biggest piece of conversation that seems to be happening, coming out of the Q&A, coming out of, alpha, coming out of, looking ahead to midnight, is essentially the death of the major add-ons that players utilize in World of Warcraft.
I got
Weak auras being the biggest. I think, Deadly Boss Mods is one I know it's also been out there. Any kind of damage meter type thing. There's been quite an outcry from accessibility angles. There's been a number of players that have called out, well, hey, there's add-ons that I use because I have vision problems or I have other kinds of issues that this is going to potentially ruin and I won't be able to play. So big pushback and blowback on this one. Jez, do you think that they have made a massive mistake here that they need to find a way to walk back quickly, or what's the path from here?
I think what blowback they're gonna see an even bigger blowback when people realize, and this is my conspiracy theory, but I'm not the only person who I've seen say this, but they're doing this to start rebuilding the game for consoles, because WoW has probably addressed everyone it can possibly address on PC. It probably just won't grow on PC because everyone who's ever wanted to play WoW on PC has probably already played it, and there's just no chance to capture any more of that audience now. Probably they're already in China, so that's like the other market that they've sort of cornered and stuff like that. So what do you do to grow and find more players? Well, the only place you could possibly do that really is console. Big problem there is the game is far too complicated for a mouse and keyboard without a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
There are some classes which you can play, reliably with a controller, and also there's the console port add-on which makes it run on PC gaming handhelds and Steam Deck and things like that with some tinkering and stuff like that. But they want it to be a native experience. And while you can have mods on console, it has to be sort of like they would have to build the modding platform themselves, like the CurseForge, which distributes the add-ons.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably thinking like to future-proof the game against like future systems and stuff like that. They probably just need to pare it all back and make it so the game is as playable as possible with zero add-ons. And I think it was already pretty close. Like if I'm like leveling an ult or something, I don't bother setting up my add-ons. I don't bother setting up Dabjamir. I don't bother setting up like weak auras and stuff. Like for Legion Remix, I haven't got any weak auras for the rogue I'm playing because who cares? It's easy as hell, and you don't really have to think about any of that stuff. And it's not hard to like look at just your most important cooldowns when you're playing a rogue. And there are some classes that handle fine with the controller, like classes with the more simplistic damage rotations, like Destro Warlock, for example. Don't have that many buttons as a Destro Warlock, really. There's especially like in certain builds where you just spam cast bolts and Havoc procs itself and stuff like that. You don't really have to do a fat lot, but then like you get into the more complicated specs, like could I play Demonology with a controller? I mean, maybe, but could I play Discipline Priest with a controller? Definitely not. Because like how are you going to select your party members and stuff like that? And I'm sure there are people that do it, and there's probably like keybinds where you can like, okay, well, this is my keybind for player 1 in the group, player 2, blah 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 blah. But then, how are you going to raid heal without a mouse? How are you going to select the right targets without a mouse and stuff like that? Or are you just going to focus on spamming AOE heals or something like that? I don't know. It starts becoming like a whole thing where you have to think about like how is the game going to be balanced around not having the add-ons and not being able to track things and stuff like that, right? So my conspiracy theory is that one of the reasons they're doing this is they have said that I think for them it has multiple benefits. It sort of reduces power creep and stuff like that, and they call it an arms race between the sort of complexity of the game versus how complex weak auras are getting. Yeah. Like there are weak auras now that are just so powerful and trivialize boss mechanics and do all kinds of stuff and just sort of make the whole game easier, you know, reduces the cognitive load and stuff like that. But Blizzard wants it to feel rewarding and challenging, at least at the highest end. I don't think they always get that right, you know, because I think like the leveling experience right now is up to brain dead, but then like you go up to raid healing and it's like, oh my god, you know, I'm proper sweating, you know.
Yeah.
I raid healed the last tier of Dragonfly as a disc priest. I hadn't raid healed since vanilla, and I was just like, I can't act this. This is crazy. How do people do this? I'm a humble warlock. I don't have the brain power to be a healer. You know, I was terrible at it.
There's no way. Dual wield bandage. That's the best I could do. That's it.
Well, I just like I sort of earned a new. I always respected healers, but like now I just like double respect healers because it's like this shit hard, man. It's like way more involved, way sweatier than just, you know, looking at your weak or for, you know, what spells are coming off cooldown. At least for me, like I didn't practice it that much. I only healed one tier. I think it was the last tier, you know, when everything was sort of winding down for the expansion, and it was that you know, it wasn't a new raid. It was like going through the old raids again. You know, the last tier of that expansion. So yeah, so I kind of see why they're doing this. They want to sort of reduce the amount of complexity they keep having to bake into the game to offset things that make it easier, like not damage meters, like weak auras and also daily boss mods and stuff like that. And then at the same time, if they make it sort of easy for everyone without add-ons, then you can start incorporating controllers. And obviously Final Fantasy 14. I really think Final Fantasy 14 a couple of years ago during Shadowlands really gave them a kick up the arse, because they were like, Shadowlands, as we all know, was not a very well received expansion.
No.
And then we had Final Fantasy 14, which was doing really well at the time, and sort of it was sort of like it was a moment for them where they're like, oh shit, Final Fantasy 14 is really popping off. It's had a couple of really good expansions, and people are starting to word of mouth like, this is actually a credible alternative to World of Warcraft. You know, and World of Warcraft's entire business model revolves around being the biggest subscription-based MMO. Their entire business model revolves around that. And if they lose that for any particular reason, the whole business model collapses. You know, the game can't run without all those users. So I think it really sort of gave them a kick up the arse, which is why we've had so much investment in things like player housing, which is a direct shot at Final Fantasy 14, which has player housing, but it's got a lot of technical debt and a lot of issues. And then also doubling down on the patch cadence, which has been very, very quick. So like you keep playing. Like I said earlier, I'm FOMOing for Legion Remix right now. I can't stop playing because I really want to get that mount. So they've fixed the patch cadence, the communication on the patch cadence, and also been hitting their roadmap fairly predictably. There've been some bugs, but yeah, they've been hitting it much quicker than we haven't seen the kind of content droughts that we used to get back during like Mists and Warlords of Draenor and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
And then the final piece of that puzzle is Final Fantasy 14 is available on PlayStation and Xbox. So if you're a console gamer, your only option is Final Fantasy 14. Your only option for a subscription-based MMO. There's some free-to-play MMOs, but they're all sort of pay to win and they're all janky and stuff like that. But if you want like that sort of high-quality MMO experience, Final Fantasy 14 is your only option right now. And Final Fantasy 14 is not doing so well right now. I don't know if you've seen the dramas about.
No, I'm out of the Final Fantasy loop. Never touched it.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy 14 is like they're in their Shadowlands period right now.
Oops.
The current expansion has not been well received.
Don't do that.
And there's been big patch droughts as well, and a lot of my friends have stopped playing and stuff like that. So it's kind of like Blizzard's like, okay, well, we can solidify our dominance here. And I think Blizzard's like, they're known to be aggressive, I think. Like, if you look at things like Overwatch has had this too, where Marvel rivals Overwatch's launch for a long time, and it kicked Overwatch up the arse. And now Blizzard's like invested more in Overwatch, and now Overwatch is I think it actually overtook Marvel Rivals on Steam recently.
Good.
Or got close to it at least. I can't remember the exact number, but Marvel Rivals has really dropped off.
Good deal.
And that's Steam. You know, most people play Overwatch on Battle.net, not even Steam. So like Overwatch is come back and is doing well. And Diablo doesn't really have a super huge compared to right now. I know there's Path of Exile, but if you look at like player stats on console at least, Diablo 4 is still higher, but it does feel like Blizzard, like when they have a competitor, it's like, oh shit, okay, we need to do something here. And I think that's the other pillar of this. Getting rid of the add-ons means they can bring it to console, means they can shut down Final Fantasy 14, kick it while it's down, and work towards that eventuality. It's not going to be quick by any means. I think we're still maybe a couple of expansions away from a console version, maybe Last Titan at the earliest. But this is undoubtedly one of the benefits for them of doing this, for better or worse, because it's also like I'm concerned, dude. I'm concerned that they will reduce the complexity of the game to the point where it feels unengaging, because it is so satisfying as a DPS person, to pull off a good rotation and nail the mechanics at the same time really well, learn the fight and build your character properly,
Absolutely.
and then get a nice pass,
Absolutely.
like an epic or a legendary sometimes if you're padding the meters like I do. But cheating, AoEing things you're not meant to be AoEing. Fuck the mechanic.
That's how you get it done.
Yeah, that's how you get it done. I mean, it's I saw there was another YouTuber who was calling out like World of Logs culture recently. I can't remember who it was, but they were completely right that like World of Logs culture is like, it's not really about doing the boss well or executing the mechanics. It's just about how much you can, get power infusion and pad the meters, and how much like your healers are willing to tolerate you standing still in fire and things like that. Really, that's how you top the meters in WoW these days. You support the healers, but yeah, I digress. I think this is all about the console version, and I think it could really backfire. It really needs to be. The game cannot lose its sense of complexity because they're chasing the console audience, which is why, like, when I've talked about this for people before, because I get, as an Xbox podcaster, I do get asked a lot when is World of Warcraft coming to consoles, right?
Yeah,
I
they've
get
been
asked that
asking
question
that
a
for
lot.
years.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, how would they do it? Because like they couldn't. They'd have to simplify a lot of the stuff, and I don't think they want to do that. But apparently, maybe that is what they want to do. They want to simplify it for those users, and I agree with you that it could backfire and just be remembered as a big mistake. But we'll see.
It does feel like we're in that middle ground where they've thrown something out. Some of it's been good. I mean, I'm happy to have a clean UI and not have to do a bunch of stuff and being able to move things around. I think that was a great first step. But definitely seeing what you're talking about in terms of dumbing things down, or like I mentioned, the accessibility stuff. Now is that kind of no man's land that's going to go back and forth, I think, for a while in terms of finding the right balance of how far do we want to go to simplify things and to reduce the need for these outside add-ons or whatnot, versus there may be a healthy portion of the community, or there may be a healthy way to integrate these into the game so it's not all or nothing. Maybe we're finding some kind of balance in between, and it feels like this is something that's going to go back and forth for quite some time, probably the rest of the World Soul Saga, in my sort of view of the thing, where it's going to be a long iterative process. It's not going to be figured out by the time midnight comes out, because that's only a handful of months away. Probably not going to be figured out before you get to Last Titan, which is going to be, a year and a half or whenever after that, given the pace that we're on. So yeah, this is going to go on for a while, and I say it often to people, is that if you have an opinion about said thing and there's something that you can specifically cite as this is a direct impact on my ability to play the game or enjoy the game, get out there on the forums, get out there wherever you can, and make your comments about this. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the alpha and opening up of early events here in a second. But there are opportunities, so jump in there and test the shit out, try it out, because it's the only way that you're going to potentially get hurt. I think they're better about it. They clearly have a vision. They want to execute that vision. But if there are ways to help them, I think we as the players that have the opportunity to do it should jump in there. It's not a lot of games, I don't think, that really let you fuck around the way that we get to, and like constantly make comments and get at people and try things out. So take advantage of that. But it's this one's gonna be. I feel like this is not the last time we're gonna talk about this. I'll say that. So we had the deep dive, we had the Q&A, and that felt like it was the first time that we really now have had things on the right track. And with all of that, at long last, we knew it was coming. The alpha, the midnight alpha, was announced. October 2nd is when that came out. And we know that there are going to be 5 phases. I'm looking at them here. I believe we are in phase 2 now, where it's level 83 through 88. Zulaman, a couple of dungeons and delves, and then I think it's a 2-week cadence between these. I can't remember if it's 1 week or 2 week. I feel like it's 2 week. And then in the next phase, phase 3, same level set, but then into Hyrendar and Eversong Woods, more story quests, another dungeon delves, some UI encounter warnings. Speaking of add-ons, that's going to be, I think, a huge test of how that part of this is going. And then phase 4 and 5 kind of continuing to level up from there. But Jez, the question that I had at the time was, okay, we know there's an alpha coming. We knew it was coming in the beginning of the month. I think we can all assume that you would have access. You after all, are not just in the VIP club. I think you are the VIP club. But for those of us, down here in the lower ranks, would I still be allowed into the VIP club? Would I still be allowed not just into the VIP club, but what table am I sitting at? Am I sitting at the Amstel Light table? Am I sitting at the Stella table? Am I sitting at the Crystal table? Where are we going to end up? Well, it looks like I am still blessedly, thankfully, one of the favored few, because I did get into the first round of the alpha. I think they cast a pretty wide net on this one. So I think there were a lot of people in this. So I don't know that I was all that exclusive, but finally got a chance to jump into the alpha. And Jez, now that I've seen it, now that I've touched it myself, I truly believe that the housing is going to ruin us all. And I don't know if the Warcraft Widows website is still up and operating, but it had better revive itself, because there's a whole lot of spouses, family, friends, and otherwise that are about to be lost forever to this mini game or this part of World of Warcraft that is absolutely going to dominate, and I believe for the next 2 decades plus, if Holly Longdale's to be believed. That's all I've done so far in the alpha is the housing. I haven't done any leveling. I haven't looked at any zones. I haven't done a thing. I went straight to the quest that got you into the neighborhood, and I was off and running. So that's all I've done. I know you got some hands on for it, but did you get into the neighborhood, or did they just plunk you into a house? Did you go through the whole plot selection process?
I did.
Okay.
Did you get access to that bit as well?
So it's the whole kit and caboodle. Now, what I didn't know is that the housing neighborhood is an island. I thought that it was going to be put like in an existing space, and I was thinking, oh, it's probably like south of Stormwind and kind of by Westfall and kind of near Duskwood, just because of the sort of landscapes that had been shown to us before. It is, in fact, its own island. You got a portal out to it. I haven't seen the Horde one. I can only speak for Founders Point, the Alliance neighborhood, but it's an island, and I got in and I took the tour. There was a lady there giving you the 411, and for the kids, that means the information. Giving me the background on here's where you can go. Here are the plots. Here are the names of these little areas, and now you've just got to go and select your place. And I immediately knew that I was doomed. I knew immediately that anybody who has that sort of ADHD itch in their brain of like, I'm going to like hyper focus on this thing now.
Oh dear.
And I'm going to go plot by plot, and I'm going to figure out which plot has the best stuff. So which one has the most space away from the neighbors? Big priority for me. Which one has a lake, a waterfall, beachfront property? Is it in the mountains? Is it in the scary area? Is it like kind of near too much stuff in the middle of the town? It took me almost 2 hours just to pick a plot. And I went
just picked one at random.
just on a, and mind you, this is just alpha. This isn't the actual place. I'm not actually going to be there. This is not permanent, but that is how long it took me just to pick a plot. 2 fucking hours, because you have all of these options. And now that I've seen them all, I do believe that there are absolutely prime lots in these neighborhoods that people are going to be fighting over. Now they say, okay, well, if it's full, you can go on another shard or whatever, and you can get the one that you want. I need to see how this works, not just in the alpha. I need to see how this works in the real live retail, because for me, in the Founders Point in the Alliance neighborhood, there is clearly one superior plot over all of them, and it was the one they showed in one of the promotional stills, which is the one that's kind of on a cliff. It's got like a waterfall next to it, and it's got a bunch of space next to it. For the homie Rommel, who's either watching or listening to this, it's the perfect plot for us because there's a road that leads down to this plot and one next to it, so you and I can live next to each other, and then there's nobody else around us. So this is the perfect plot. Yeah, this is the perfect plot for your romantic partner or otherwise. Just picking the thing was a whole deal. And you've got the map, and you've got the little sign that you click on, and you say, okay, this is my jam. I didn't even know, Jez, that there was like other neighborhood stuff to explore, like a theater or shopkeepers or
I didn't know that.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. I was so laser focused in on, no, I don't like this lot because it's too close to the scary place. No, I don't like this lot because there's like 3 people right next to me. No, I don't like this lot because I'm on the beach and I could get invaded. Like, there was a lot of thought being put into this thing, and until I finally picked something. But for you, was it just, this looked good and you jumped in, or did you give it a little more thought before you jumped in?
No, yeah. I just picked one at random, basically. See? I was like, oh, there's a tree here. That's nice.
That might be the better way to do it. Don't agonize like I do. I don't know.
What I could do, I could pull it up here while we're chatting. People could have a little quick gander at it. But for those listening on YouTube. But yeah, man, it's a whole thing. They've really gone hard,
Oh my gosh.
This isn't like Island Expeditions or Warfronts, which are sort of half baked. This is like, we want this to be a genre almost. We want to like take this to the next level, and I suppose like they looked at everything that could have been better about Final Fantasy XIV, like that. They quadrupled down on it, because Final Fantasy XIV's housing system is very similar. You've got like an interior and exterior which you can edit. Obviously, they don't have really the faction divide. They've got a soft faction divide, but not really the sort of like, oh, this faction genocided the other one. At least I don't think they do. And so like I would say like they don't have those kind of restrictions to the same degree, but the sheer amount of technical issues that it has, like each server has very, very limited amount of plots, and you have to basically wait for someone to idle or quit the game long enough that their plot becomes available, and then everyone sort of, there's a lottery system. You enter a lottery to win that plot.
That's crazy.
You can't just go to another shard.
That's crazy.
And like, it doesn't scale up like that. It's just like, this is the amount of plots we've got per server, and that's it. Deal with it.
Oh,
whereas like, I think Blizzard did say that if everyone tried to have their own shard, we couldn't accommodate that because we don't have enough server capacity. But they did talk about the minimum number for the neighborhood. They still haven't decided on it, because we did get a question about that a while back. They're still figuring that out. But yes, for everyone to have their own neighborhood, that's totally unrealistic. Yeah, but they did say that there will be a plot for every single person on the server. Like you won't be able to you won't be plotless. Like there's enough plots at least that every single person on the server will be able to have a house. Maybe not the plot you want initially, but even then there's going to be. It does sound like there's going to be a huge glut of shards and stuff like that. I suppose that's like one of the benefits of being a sort of maturer company, and also like their partner, they were bought out by the cloud company, right? Microsoft, which Microsoft uses cloud technology like it's water, and it literally is water in some places because they're sort of draining all the water and all the electricity in order to power this stuff. But hey, we get a virtual house instead, right?
That's
you can't
true.
afford the electricity bill on a real house, just get one in World of Warcraft instead.
My God. Oh my God. Yeah, it's
oh man.
It's an unbelievable triumph. Just the neighborhood itself. Unbelievable, right? And so if you had a place and you're like, yes, this is where I can do things, where mind you, at this point in time, as far as I know, we haven't been able to do anything with the plot itself, like upgrading the house or doing an exterior. Whoa.
I broke something.
You broke something.
I broke something.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I was trying to add Well Midnight to the stream, but as in place of my camera, but it doesn't seem to want to let me do it.
We're gonna do this live, folks. Here we go.
Do it live together.
We're gonna do it live. Here we go. Let's see. I'm gonna boom boom. No. Nope. 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 No, it's not gonna work with this one.
I like that one. I'm messing with it as well. Just to make things.
Uh-oh. What do we do here? Oh boy.
Hang on. I got it. I think I've got it. So click on this one. And then click on this. And then click on that. How's that?
Hey, it's working.
Let's go with that for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna create a character here quickly, and then we're gonna go and have a quick look at the house. Is the audio and shit working? I've muted the audio for the stream.
I can hear you.
Yeah, good. But you can't hear the game, right?
No. Wow.
Good. So let's just make a death note. Let's quickly go and have a look at this housing stuff. Because yeah, like it's just crazy how legitimate it is, you know. When we go back in time and look at things like, I don't know, Torghast and expeditions and all this other stuff, it was just like they were just half baked, and it was a reminiscent of an era where they were sort of like, we don't like it was reminiscent of an era where it was just like update content or expansion content was designed to be thrown away rather than add to the game, right?
Yeah.
These days, it really feels like when they're looking at making expansion stuff, and yeah, there are stuff that does get thrown away, but the headline stuff for expansions increasingly seems to carry over into the full game, like Delves and the Brawlers Guild's coming back, which we haven't talked about much yet. And then you've also got like all this other stuff, like the prize system. Like in my interview with them, they were like, yeah, we might do the prize system as a evergreen feature if people like it. Like, I love the idea of that. Imagine like every expansion has like a new prey to mess with and stuff. I think it's really, really cool. So this is the Horde area. So as you can see, it's quite tropical, and you know but there's an area that looks a bit like Mulgore. There's a bit that looks like Ashara, and there's a bit that looks like Durotar, right? I don't know if there's a bit that looks like the Undersea. Maybe there is, but like you said, like you were like looking for plots for ages, right? I was just like, let's just build one over here, you know, whatever stuff. Yeah. If I fire up, I need to find a flying mount.
There you go.
Let's just pro Drake it for a bit. So yeah, so it looks pretty nice, right? But I never really thought of it like what you were saying, how people are gonna try and get this premium real estate.
Yeah,
Right?
like I look
Are
at that and
these-
look at that one. That one's by itself on its own little island. You look up further, there's like ones that are up in the hills. There's ones that are like
Yeah,
have their
sure.
own little piece of the coastline. Like there are going to be those choice plots. This is how real estate works. Like you can hide it and disguise it as whatever you want, but location, location.
Yeah, these houses with so these houses with the player on, those are taken.
Yes.
And these houses without a player on, those are free.
Yeah, I see some
So,
prime ones that are available there. I don't know what they look like, but
yeah, this is some dude's house here. Oh yeah, I see what you mean now. This guy's
he's
this
got his
guy's
own
got
dock.
fishing dock, man.
See?
Oh man, that's prime. That's some prime real estate right there. I see what you mean now, dude. People are going to be fighting over that shit.
Absolutely.
This dude's got his own bridge. Look at that.
Look at that.
He's got his own bridge. You are trespassing. You will be
they'll
removed.
kick you out. Yeah.
Damn. And there's like this whole cliff down here, man. So yeah, it's gonna be a whole thing, I guess, right?
people are gonna be fighting over it. That's what I know is that there's gonna be fights, and it's gonna be a thing. It's inescapable. It's gonna be a thing. That's just for the plot.
And that's just the plot, yeah.
That's just the plot. We haven't even talked about like building the house, right? We haven't talked about like just building the house. That and that's a whole other thing. Like the closest analogy that I can give is if you ever saw the movie, because it's very topical right now, Tron Legacy. That's not the new one. That's the one that came out, a number of years ago. When Kevin Flynn is in the grid, and like the grid is basically blank, and you're like, I'm gonna build the perfect system, or I'm gonna build whatever I want to build. That's kind of like what it is in the house. You're just in this sort of void space, and you've got so many options in terms of rooms, room sizes, room shapes. You can like this. There's one I know of already that you can stack on top of the other one to give you like a really tall room. There's unlimited configurations. I'm sure there's a mathematical number for it. I don't know, but it's a fuck ton is what it is. And initially, we're going to be capped at how many rooms or hallways we can have at a time. I think right now on the alpha, it's 9. But it's unbelievable how many things you can come up with just the limited set of stuff we have now. We have the ability to buy some decorations and different things to put in the house. Now we're capped, I think, at like 300 items, so there's only so many you can put in there. But the unlimited nature of it, the unbound creativity. I know you talk about like, it would take a lot of resources, and so depending on how many things you could place in a house, but using a small item to create like a work of art or a replication of something or whatever it is, you see firsthand when you get to touch it what that actually looks like and how that might be possible. I was building, how do I build a secret bookcase? How do I hide the secret bookcase that I built? How do I create a whole portion of the house that's hidden? How do I, put stairs up, and then where do I put the bookcases? And how can I take a big room and use walls to shape it into some custom made room that looks like something else? Like it goes on and on and on. And when people see this, and whatever we get, because right now we can't transfer any characters from our, actual accounts. So it's all just base level stuff. Once you're in and you've got all of the stuff that you've earned, whatever that's going to look like once we have it, if this is your jam, I don't know that you will ever do anything ever again, because you're going to be lost tweaking things and tinkering with things. And the one piece of advice I would give is you're going to need a lot of lights. If you want to be able to see things, you're going to need a lot of lights. You can make them bigger, you can make them smaller, you can put them on a wall, you can put them on a ceiling, you can put them on the floor, you can put them wherever you want. You're just going to need a lot of them in order to have like kind of like the proper vibe. There's some windows, you can put the windows up, you don't actually see through the windows, they just give you light that kind of emanates from the windows. But it is overwhelming to
It
me to see, even now, just with the very minimal base stuff, what we're able to create and do. And at this point, I've made and destroyed probably 3 entirely different structures internally anyway, because the outside they always look the same, but inside, I had multi-story places. I've had this vision forever. Once they announced this, right, of having kind of like a wing of my house where there's an alcove for every expansion and things within it that were important to me. Now, depending on what we place in there, so if there's like a weapon rack, can I put weapons from that era that I used, or armor sets on one of the armor trees maybe that I used at that time? Is there art that we can buy that has, I don't know, a picture of a demon on it from Burning Crusade, or like, is there like an Arthas portrait I can buy and put in my Wrath one? I was able to kind of start building out what that might look like based on one of the shapes. It's kind of like a T shape. And if you put that end to end to end, you almost end up with like a little alcove. And then you go down to the next one, and there's the next one. And you go down to the next one, and there's that one. And I could loop it all the way around the house if I wanted to. So people are going to come up with so many things, and there's going to be stream after stream after stream of people just building their houses and giving people ideas. There's going to be websites and guides, and
it's a whole game. It's a whole ass game by itself.
I didn't believe in it, and I have rarely been so wrong about a thing in my life. I was dead set against this. Every podcast, Ro out there from Rolling Restart and Realm Maintenance, one of my buddies, he always asked me about this, and I think he got some sick pleasure out of asking me about it, because I was like, no, it's bullshit. I don't want a house. It's stupid. Having now had access to it for even just a brief period of time, it's so awesome. Like God, I was wrong, but happy to be wrong. I can't wait to see what they add to this thing. It's going to be just monumental, and it's a hell of an achievement. And as they kind of slowly roll this thing out, and we get a chance to really play through it, it's going to be awesome, dude. It's really going to be something special. And you're going to see things coming out of the alpha, folks. You just saw a little preview if you're watching the video on YouTube. You just saw a little bit about what the, was it Razorwind Shores?
But
you're going to see these things rolling out. And I think in the lead up to this, and they've promised a blog or something about this, is like a list of achievements that you'll want to accomplish before you have access to this, because it'll give you a jump start on being able to earn things. And I don't know if the price of these things is going to continue to stay what they are on the alpha. I mean, you're looking at like $100, 100 gold for a table, 50 gold for a bookcase, whatever it is. I don't know how the prices are going to break out, but sell a WoW token for $20 and get some housing coin. I don't know. You're going to want it if you don't have it, because it's so much. It's so overwhelming.
It's crazy, man.
Awesome to see. Very excited about all that. And after, of course, hyping it up as we have, well, if you want in on this, December 2nd, patch 11.2.7, the warning will be going live, and it will include housing early access. So if you haven't bought your midnight upgrade, you will want to by that point if you want to get in on it. And they have already posted for us a preview of what's coming in that patch. And I was going to save the best to last, but Jez, you already mentioned it. They're bringing back the Brothers Guild. Finally.
Yeah.
Years and years and years. They're finally bringing back the Brawlers Guild, which I assumed was just dead in the waters forever. But what they say here is, shortly after the launch of the warning content update, players will be able to step back into the fighting ring once more to engage in one-on-one combat with a variety of new and familiar bosses. There's 2 periods there. Somebody needed to proofread this a little bit better. Sorry. Players will once more be able to sign up to take on these foes and climb the ranks, or stand ringside and watch the spectacle. It's going to be in the same place that it's always been. They're going to make some improvements, change the boss rotations, get some new bosses. There'll be new achievements, including some rewards that have housing decor attached to them, a recolored flying mount, and another Bruce variation. Bruce, the I believe alligator, the mount that we get out of that. So, very excited about that, Jez. I don't know that we've been podcasting together when the Brawlers Guild was really a thing. Was this a part of your play when it was the jam?
No, dude. I think I missed out on it. Really, I came back. When did they add the Brawlers Guild? Was it?
Oh my
It wasn't
gosh,
missed, was it?
it's been a while. I couldn't.
I'm gonna ask Copilot. Let's see if Copilot can actually give us a good answer for once. When did they add Brawlers Guild to WoW initially? I always try and use AI on these live streams and stuff that I do, and it's always just doesn't work. Okay,
we're never doing a live stream again. This is impossible.
It does seem to have been right. So Brawlers Guild was first introduced to World of Warcraft patch 5.1 in landfall. It went live during Mists of Pandaria. Oh, it was missed. I was right. And that's via wowpedia.fandom.com that information comes from. So my WoW playing was a bit weird during Mists of Pandaria because my computer broke at the start of Mists. So I missed a good chunk of Mists of Pandaria.
No.
And then I got a new PC or I got it repaired, or I can't remember. But I got access to it again when Throne of Thunder was the main thing. And you know what brought me back? Specifically?
What?
The Green Fire quest for Warlock.
Oh, one of the greatest class quest lines of all time.
Yeah, they added that in that patch, and I was like, I absolutely have to get that Green Fire. I've been waiting all this time for Green Fire. I'm going to fix my computer and come back just for the Green Fire. So I did that, and I got the Green Fire. I never even finished Throne of Thunder, but I didn't touch the Brawlers Guild. I think I tried it out. I dabbled with it in one of the expansions where it was still active, but it was sort of like at that point, it was already becoming abandonware, I think. So for me, it's kind of almost it's going to be a new experience for me to some degree.
I think you're going to like it.
Cool, right?
It's it's Mage Tower Light, right? It's solo content. It's, trying to take on some sort of challenge that has very specific, pieces to it where you got to learn to dance or do a thing or attack close or not close or, dance to the left and dance to the right. Who knows? There's always something. So very, very excited about the Brawlers Guild coming. The new and returning player experience, I should say, is going to be going live with this. You'll get your first chance to check that out, Jez. New lore walking. It's going to be about the elves of Quel'Thalas. So we're going to learn more about the Blood Elves and the Void Elves and the Sunwell and the Lich King and his assault. And if you never played through all that before, you're going to learn a lot about it now. And that, I'm sure, is going to be quite a doozy. Pandarans are getting their heritage armor. We had a question about that recently, is who didn't have heritage armor? Pandaran is one of them. So now they're going to be getting their heritage armor. It looks cool, so that should be a good time for everybody. Turbulent Timeways will return, and we're going to have 6 new Shadowlands dungeons as part of that. Jez, do you have any interest in playing through Shadowlands dungeons?
Shadowlands dungeons are okay, but I don't like this revisiting old dungeons. I'd rather have new shit, but
yeah, that's always more fun. So 11.27 coming in December. We talked about the sort of roadmap and the patch cadence and all that sort of stuff. This continues to line up. I appreciate them giving us early housing access because we're gonna be just neck deep in all that. It's gonna be just unbelievable. So if you haven't bought your upgrade, you've got a little bit of time to save up for it or whatnot, but it's going to be going hard and heavy, and I assume here in the next 6 weeks we're probably going to be getting more blogs and posts and all kinds of stuff to get us ready for the housing and what we should be working on. And I know I've started looking through old achievements like, shit, did I do this, did I do that, maybe I need to finish this because maybe I'll get a valance out of it, or I'll get a duvet cover out of something. And look at us, first world trappings in my game. That's what I need more of. So, gonna be very exciting, and looking forward to that coming up. One of the other things touched on last episode was in connection with all this is the collector's edition kind of got leaked and then it got taken down, the articles on PC Gamer and everything else that linked up to it, because as was my guess, and I think the guess of many, somebody hit it a week early. I think it was the wrong Wednesday. Somebody must have clicked something for the Wednesday before instead of the Wednesday of, when the Q&A and the deep dive went live. So we do have that now. You can pre-purchase your Midnight Collector's Edition. It is $140, so that was right. There's the art book. There's a collector's pin. The big piece, I guess, is the LED-powered Dark Heart replica. So, I don't know. Does it summon a Naifu? I don't know. I don't know that I want to find out. Maybe it's just the maybe when it lights up, there's like an image of feet, like deep in the glow of it. You're like, ooh, that's what I want. Let's see what else we got on this thing. Housing decor, which we talked about before. Some transmog mounts, pets. Let's see, character boost 80, boost 3 days of midnight early access. So you'll already have housing. So it'll just be the midnight stuff. 30 days of game time and 2,000 trader tenders. I don't know. I still think that they probably should have put a statue of Xalatath or I don't know, something in it, but I guess the Dark Heart's all right. So
not as cool as the Earthen riding the Griffin, right?
I mean, well, I guess it's right there. That guy back here. Yeah. It is pretty rad. I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty rad. So if that's your jam, if you want to keep it going, if you, like me, have a little gimmick down here where you want to try to sneak it in here and then turn this one sideways and then it's going to have to fit in there. I don't know. I never know what I'm going to do with these things. $140 pre-sale now. Get on it. In the meantime, Jez, we already talked about it. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever played Warcraft Minix?
Warcraft what?
Have you ever played Warcraft Penix?
No, I have not.
Then why in the fuck are we playing Warcraft Lemix?
Oh. Oh, that's what people are calling it, right?
Please stop calling Legion Remix Lemix. It's not World of Warcraft Lemurs, and it sounds ridiculous. I mean, if that's really a jam, okay, fine. But like, please stop. Because I'm really afraid of what other names might come up. Because we did not have Pandaria Remix, right? We're not Penix. So
yeah, that's true.
Penix. Careful how we name these things. But Legion Remix is out. Jez, you and I talked. I think we're both having a lot of fun doing this. I am not one to play a lot of alts, so these kinds of things are always a bit of a crapshoot for me. That being said, the just endless rewards for doing any and all questing activities and everything else and all of the things that you can earn, it definitely,
there's so much stuff.
Oh my god, it definitely hits that groove. I really appreciate being able to blast through the old order hall quests that are just like, we'll just skip through all of this, and so you just kind of get through all those rewards pretty quickly if you go to your order hall. But it is very addicting getting through this stuff very quickly. You're able to, fly right away. So with your modern flying, you can bang through this stuff really, really fast. They simplified certain things. You're getting all these power-ups as you go through. I am having so much fun. And I was really unsure about this one. You convinced me because of the transmog that is just completely badass.
That's the best cape in the game. No,
it is the best cape in the game. But the gameplay is pretty fun. I gotta say, I'm having a lot of fun. I think this is a big win. I think we've got 98 days left of it, which I think also kind of tells us when the midnight pre-patch might be coming in. So you do the math, figure out how many months that is. But that seems to fit about right. But this fits the groove for you too, eh?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I really, I'm a warlock, and a lot of the rewards are warlock related.
You
There's reward
are?
furniture.
I,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know.
But there's a ton of warlock stuff. There's warlock transmog, there's warlock furniture as well. One of the rewards is furniture for your house. So it's like I have to do this. But I'm not someone who I don't for some reason I don't do nostalgia for WoW for some reason.
Mm.
Like I'd rather do new stuff. Like I've already done Legion back in the day. I've done all these quests before. I've done these dungeons before. I'd rather see new stuff. So I'm almost slightly irritated that I have to do this. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of other stuff October, November that I do want to play. But it's like the ultimate first world problem. It's like, oh my god, you're giving me too much stuff to do. What is this? What is going on? It's a really, really dumb thing to complain about.
A nice
But
problem to have.
yeah, it's really fun though. Like I love like the way they've mixed it up. It's called remix, right? I like I'm playing a rogue for the first time. I've never played a rogue in 20 years, and I just
No.
thought now is probably the time to give it a try. Enjoying it so far. I'm a bit confused about which abilities should I keep on the stealth bar. Should I even bother using the stealth bar? I think I've never played stealth class ever. You know,
Hmm.
so there's some of that stuff I got to figure out. But it's nice, figuring something new out after playing casters for like.
Yeah.
Basically, I only played Death Knight and Warlock.
I applaud
Um,
your bravery. I just made another warrior, so I'm just blasting right through it all.
Well, I did almost think like, shall I just make another Warlock? But I thought like I'll end up with 2 Warlocks then. I should probably try and play something I've not played before. So changing up a little bit. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's clear the amount of effort they've made. I mean, yeah, it had some bugs
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but like you said, there's been a huge amount of effort to skip people through bits of the quests, to not make people, redo some of the boring stuff and just to get you into the meat of it. And, there's already people completing the dungeons, the raids at higher
Yeah.
tiers and all that kind of stuff. So it does feel like you will be able to get through it pretty quick if you
Mhm.
are just doing it for the rewards like I am. So, um, yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's really cool content. I'd rather have new content, if I'd rather have a new raid tier than this, but I don't know how that translates, you know, into I don't know how that translates exactly. Like, is it just easier to put something like this together, or cheaper, or more affordable than building a new raid tier, or does it cost about the same? I honestly don't. I don't have any idea.
Listen, I mean, there's clearly
Um,
a lot of work that's been put into this, like you said.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's clearly a lot of work. I mean, it uses all the same art assets, so I guess if you're making a new raid with all new art assets and stuff, it's probably a lot of work, and also new story assets and stuff because they'd have to make the raid make sense within the story and then the wider story going into midnight and all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
it probably is way more work to do a raid tier, but I'd rather wait an extra couple of months and have another raid tier than go back and revisit old content. But at the same time, it's like I'm not. It seems just dumb to complain about new content. So it's yeah,
It's
it's
a
cool.
nice problem to have. I welcome it. It's we are gonna get to a real solid lull here in a minute, and if we aren't there already, so having something like this to kind of take up the gap before we get to the housing stuff, and then I don't know, they'll probably never see me out in the real world again. I'm gonna be spending more time on a fake house than my real house. I'm not sure how much of a good idea that is or not. But Legion Remix, we're gonna be out doing this for the next couple of months. So if you haven't tried it out already, I highly recommend just making a character, doing a time running character, and get through it. So many rewards, and a lot of great ones are cheap. There are recolors of I think it's basically the 4 horsemen mounts, and they're super cheap to get. They aren't available yet because we're not at the phase, because they're kind of rolling out certain rewards during certain phases. Because remember, there's the current little era of the remix that we're in right now, and then there'll be another one October 21st. That's Rise of the Nightfall, and November 4th, which is Legion Fall, and then November 18th, which is Argus Eternal, and December 9th, which is Infinite Echo. So they're gonna kind of roll these out a little bit, but there are some just phenomenal mounts I've already pegged, and I'm like, well, that's 40,000 bronze or whatever that I'm going to spend on those. Just completely overwhelming how many things you can earn. So I think there's something, I don't know how many millions if you want to get everything, but yeah, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a good time. So if you haven't jumped in there, highly recommend it. All right. One more thing here. Trading post. So there is a trading post this month, as you know, every month. And October, I don't know if they, I know they didn't do it because of me. I know they didn't do it because of us. I know they didn't do it to celebrate 10 years of Unshackled Fury, but they very well could have, because let me tell you, this is a Hall of Fame, like one of the greatest of all time trading posts, if for no other reason than the Headless Horseman's Hallowed Charger, which you know what rating we got to give that. The best rating of all time. It's unreal how good this mount is, and I just blown away by that. Not to mention the fact that there is a transmog set, which is the Horseman's Hallowed collection, and that just looks like a great kind of recolor of the Headless Horseman kind of vibe. And there's a bunch of other stuff, but truly one of the great trading posts of all time. So I already blew, I think, all of my trader tender. Jez, I think I'm out. That's never happened.
I do too.
All the years I've been playing this, while we've been having this trading post now for however long it's been, a year, 2 years, blew it all. This was a good one. So if you haven't gotten out there, get out there and do it. All right. That's it for our news for now. But as I mentioned at the top and a couple of times, this is today, right now, in fact, probably almost to the hour. This is the 10th anniversary of Unshackled Fury's first episode, first posting. In fact, it was just a kind of a teaser. It wasn't even a full episode. It was just kind of like a, hey, here's the flavor of the show kind of thing. And it was about the exact thing I raged about earlier, the Synth Brew goggles. And it was, I don't recommend going back and listening to your older material. Having done that again just yesterday, I stand by that. Don't do it. You just sit there and go, God, why did I do things this way? But here we are. And it is hard to believe that 10 years have gone by and I've continued to do this. So much has changed. Obviously, in the last 10 years, has been quite a bit of, quite a bit of tumult in the world, let's say, even just the world at large. Tumult. But, for people that haven't been around, I thought maybe on the occasion of this 10th anniversary, I could give a little background about this show and how it started and where it's been and, a few other things I want to say. But, the story of Unshackled Fury, like most good stories, started in a car ride with my best friend. And it was years before I actually started the podcast when the homie Rommel and I were driving to San Francisco, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, sir, to a StarCraft tournament that was being hosted in a bar down there, and they had themed food and drinks, and it was like the GSL finals or something, and it was an awesome time. But on the ride there, he was telling me about this podcast that he was listening to, Convert to Raid, and how they had a guild, and it might be a place where we could find a guild. Because around that time, I'd had my son. No, my wife had my son. I didn't have him, but we had a child. And I had stepped away from raiding and had dropped out of the team that I was with. And we were looking for a new home. And it's not easy back then to find a team that only raided whatever it was once a week, doing the 25-man raids. And somehow, some way, he found a team through the Convert to Raid guild. and we ended up applying for and getting into the Salad Senate Guild. The Salad Senate team. All the teams were named after like food items. And so the Salad
Yummy.
Senate was the team that we joined in 2012. It was led by two women, Copper and Salmisis, and we started with them once a week, and we stayed with them for 10 years. We lasted up until just last year, I believe, or the year before, and things kind of fell apart as they do. But we'd gotten together with them, and one of the things that I learned was that Sal, one of the two women leading the team, she had a podcast. It was also a stream that she hosted with another guy, Bell Schnickel, and the two of them had this show, and it was about the Convert to Raid Guild. So you had the Convert to Raid podcast, which had its own guild, and this was the show about the guild. And I first appeared on this this podcast because I had made a bet with Sal about what the next expansion was going to be. We were in Mr. Pandaria at the time, and she believed that the next one was going to be The Dark Below, because there was like this thing within the content creator community that was like the next thing, or there was like a secret forum that had that name or some kind of thing. And I was like, no, that's a dumb name. There's no way. And I was, of course, correct. So if you go out and you look for The Converted,
Of course.
which is the name of this, we had this is the name of the podcast. We had a bet, and the loser of the bet had to make a song of the other person's choice. So if you look out there for The Converted on YouTube, there is a video that they have. It's the Ballad of Berzerker, and that is about my character that she had to make the song and sing the song. Sal did. Well, I made a few appearances on The Converted, and in October of 2015, I went on there because at the time I was a raid leader, and so they like to bring people on, it's about the guild, right? So they brought on raid leaders to talk about their teams in the guild. And being me and liking dramatic moments, yes, I went on there to talk about my team, but I was also there to do something else.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we head into shout outs?
Yeah, so you guys are the most loyal show to me. None of these other shows will have me on. So you are the only ones who will receive the exclusive announcement that I am now about to make. So at some point in the recent past, the gates of Valhalla opened, and the gods spoke to me, and they said, "Berzerker, you have a mission. You must bring your voice to the people of the world." And I am proud to announce that as of an hour ago, my new podcast, Unshackled Fury, is available on SoundCloud.
SoundCloud!
That's right. Full uncensored Berzerker glory. I'll be talking about all things Warcraft. I have a little 7-minute toe tip segment for you to kind of get a sample of what I'm about, but I'll be doing a show about every 2 weeks, and I'll be bringing it hot right to your door.
I had no idea you were doing that. Oh, that's amazing.
So it goes on from there, but that was the origins. That was The Converted. That was Sal and the co-host at the time, Cuddles. It kind of went through a few changes over there, but that was 10 years ago, almost quite literally to this moment and this day. And I made it a year. We did the first year. It was a solo gig, and I had a job change in 2016, or a promotion really, that made things quite difficult. I had just come out of a very difficult period of my life, and in that part of 2015, kind of the way of my life and the way of the world, I felt like things were really trending in the right direction, and I felt like I needed this kind of a challenge, and so I took that on, and things started to change, and in late 2016, so October to October, that's as far as it went, and then the show essentially was dead for a year. So from October to 2016 to 2017, I didn't record anything. I didn't put anything out. But I was still podcasting during that time. I joined a group from a podcast, which unfortunately is no longer around, called Organized Prime, and it was about shows on Amazon Prime. Fell in love with one of the greatest series of all time, Bosch, through that, which I really enjoyed watching. But I did that with David Troy, with Geek Chic Lisa, and others, friends of ours that had a really good time doing that. But I felt like in 2017 it was time to bring it back. I hadn't done the thing in a while, and I really wanted to revive Unshackled Fury, and I had a lot to say and a lot to do, and it felt right. So former co-host of The Converted, Navox, joined me at that point, and Navox and I ran together until just a few years ago, June of 2021. So for a number of years there, we podcasted and we went through the depths of Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands, and all kind of crazy stuff that was going on there, and had a good time doing that. And then in 2022, that's when I joined up with Warcraft Radio, who became Bonus Roll Productions, and enjoyed my time there with them. And that was until Jez, you joined me, and we've been now here together for a couple of years, and we left.
In 2 years already.
It's been 2 years already.
Jeez.
January of 2024.
Time flies, man.
Left Warcraft Radio at the end of last year, and now kind of here we are. This is the sort of modern iteration at 10 years of Unshackled Fury. So started in Warlords, which I don't know why anybody would have done that, because Warlords was like the worst time to do anything Warcraft related. It was really bad. But through Legion, Battle for Azeroth, Shadowlands, Dragonflight, The War Within, that's the era of Unshackled Fury. And as I mentioned, I think earlier, a lot has changed in that time. I've certainly changed. I've gone through a couple of job jumps, like I said before. My who was then just a toddler is now a fully grown, smelly teen who is now taller than me, which is crazy. I've moved. You see, the background of the place that I showed is different than where you see now, so different place. But I myself, obviously have aged. I'm older. I'm grayer. Hopefully, a little wiser. I've lost a lot of people between now and then, and I'm kind of at a point where, at this age, you really start feeling things and seeing things, and there's a clarity of perspective that I don't think that you can have until you've lived a certain amount of life to be able to look back and kind of see things in a certain sort of way. And I find myself being really grateful for the experiences that I've had doing this show. BlizzCons, making the friends that I have, the D&D group that I'm a part of now, which is made up of other podcasters and other friends. Being with those folks, I certainly wouldn't be part of that, and we've been going on several years now. Looking back at this show, it's always been a diary for me, and I appreciate Jez's and previously Navox's indulgences, because this is very much a platform for me to kind of get shit out of my brain and to talk about my life, and obviously opportunity for anybody else that's on here to do the same. But it's always been an opportunity for me to put those kinds of things out there, and whether anybody hears it or not, it's there. There's a lot of ego involved in this. I'm not gonna lie. The way it started, the way it is, I think you have to feel and think a certain kind of way to doing it. And I look back on kind of where I started versus now. I do think I've probably mellowed a little bit. But that's, I think, what comes with age. So, looking back on it all, it does make you ask big questions about the future. 10 years is, I think, a really nice round number. And as I mentioned before, I do like dramatic statements. So what better time, I would ask, to surprise your listeners, your family, your friends, and your co-host to announce that this is the end of the show.
Hmm.
If there is a better time, I'm gonna find out because we're gonna keep going. This is absolutely not the end of the show. I have no desire to end this podcast. So you have no concerns or worries there. I think, reminiscing a lot, you do sort of think about those things, but there's still gas in this tank, and we're still going to be plowing forward as there's a lot of things that are coming up. We got the World Soul Saga to round out. We got BlizzCon coming back next year. We got a lot of things on our plates, and I'm really excited about it. And I can't imagine walking away from it now. So I know sometimes people tend to look back and think, oh, maybe this is like the right time. This ain't the right time. This ain't it. I'm sure there'll be a day somewhere, I don't know, in the deep distant future, but it ain't today. So sorry, Jez. I'm not letting you off the hook quite that early. So with that in mind, I do have
Good.
a list of people that I do want to thank for this journey that I've been on and all of us have been on along the way. And first, I'd like to thank Sal and Bell from The Converted, where this kind of this podcast journey all began. Summer, if you ever hear this, I love you, and I hope you're all good. The Salad Senate folks, my raid team, we're together 10 years, and technically there's still a group somewhere, and everybody there, all the shit that we went through over the years, good, bad, births, deaths, and otherwise, I cherish and value all of those experiences that we had. And Barian, one of the best raid leaders I ever had over there, and buddy, I miss you, and everybody else, hope all is well, especially Copperbolt, the other originator of this Salad Senate, who came up with my graphics and for this show, and helped me out with all of my iconography and everything else. So Charity, if you hear this, love you too, and hope all is well. I have to thank the Convert to Raid Guild, a complicated relationship that I had with them over the years, and with the podcast, and with the guild, and with the leadership and all of that. But if it wasn't for them, none of these experiences for me would exist. So a big thank you to everybody over there. To Navox, the first co-host that was brave enough to come on with me. I love you, brother, and hope all is well with you, and always had a good time. And we got to get you back on here at some point and jam, at least for one episode. And Jez, to you, thank you for being here and taking a chance when you are part of arguably one of the largest podcasts that exists in this space, and every number backs that up, every metric I can think of. And so to take a chance and to come down to this tiny little spot in the corner of the world, and bring all of your knowledge and your passion, it really means a lot. And I always enjoy talking with you, and when we record and are able to make our cinema, I always think it's a good time, and I always walk away with a smile on my face, and really proud of what we're putting together. And I hope you feel the same, and want to continue on, because I think we do make some magic here.
I agree.
Excellent. Ro, who I mentioned earlier, he was one of the first people that really brought me on to another podcast when I was talking a bunch of shit early on and making waves with this podcast and making people mad. He brought me on and kind of pushed me on some things. So thank you, Ro, for being one of my earliest supporters. To Jason Lucas, who was part of the Starting Zone podcast, one of the first ones I beefed with, and they didn't really know because they were somebody and I was nobody, and I burned every bridge like within my first 10 episodes of doing this podcast. And I'm glad that we were able to make amends, and I had the greatest BlizzCon experience because of you, sir. And I really appreciate you pushing me out of my comfort zone and making me be there at the opening ceremonies, and being able to talk to you and run things by you. I really appreciate that as well. And thank you for being so helpful to me. To the Warcraft Radio folks, it was brief, but it was fun, and everybody there was always really supportive. Athelis, Ketra, Manny from For Azeroth, the technically PvP boys, and everybody else. You know, you took a chance on bringing a guy in that didn't really fit with the rest of your group, and for what it was fun. Allie over at well, originally she had Dungeon Fables was her podcast, and now we've got her podcast that she does with Jin, and I'm tired, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm totally forgetting the name of your podcast. This is the worst because like they're my friends and I should know this, and my brain is just like overloaded right now. But Allie's been a real support for me, and we've had a lot of talks about a lot of things, and having those kinds of friends out there is important. And I thank you for being part of that. And Jen, we've been to some shows together. We've been to some metal shows. You, me, and the homie Rommel. We've had some good times, and I always appreciate your sort of feedback for me on that one episode where my audio was fucked up, and you told me about it just to keep me honest. I really appreciate you doing that for me. Jay and Desma Fisto, you came on and you were two members of the community that taught me a lot. Specifically, you both about the struggles and the challenges of being trans individuals in a world that is just entirely hostile to you, and sharing your stories and being open to me and the conversations that we've had over the years. I think it was really eye-opening to me, and I appreciate that perspective. And Live Laugh Lore, by the way, is the podcast for Allie and Jen, so please forgive me for my lateness on that one. Other podcasters, you've influenced me one way or another, a lot of the Warcraft folks, so thank you for taking a chance on doing something, following your passion. The Blizzard team, the Warcraft team, I wouldn't obviously have anything to talk about if you weren't working hard and doing what you do. And specifically the people in the content creator space supporting this show, and including me at the VIP table and sometimes the Crystal table. You don't have to, but you do. Jez, you have to, but me, you don't have to. So I appreciate being remembered. Chris Metzen, a personal Lord and Savior. If it wasn't for your brilliance, I wouldn't have anything to talk about at all, and a huge love of my life wouldn't exist. And I know there's other people, but from your brain, should you ever hear this, we almost peed in a stall next to each other once, and I know you don't know this, and I've talked about this before, but at the BlizzCon where Metallica played, you and I were both heading to the bathroom at the same time, and I didn't have the courage to ask you for a photo or anything else. I was just thinking, man, I'm about to take a pee next to my like legendary hero, and I was just kind of verklempt and I didn't know what to do. So your handler took you upstairs, so we missed that moment together. But I'll always think fondly about the time we almost stood at the urinals together. Obviously, my family, my wife, and my son for putting up with me and letting me do this crap and take a bunch of time away from our lives to set up a podcast and to do a podcast and to edit a podcast and to promote a podcast. It takes a lot of time and effort to do all of this stuff, and I'm not saying this because I want a pat on the back or anything, but it takes a lot of time to do it, and it takes a lot of time away from family, and so their continued indulgence means a lot. And last but not least, the homie Rommel, who has been with me through thick and thin. 20 years we've been friends, bro, and we've seen each other through a lot. And you are the person I always have in mind when I'm recording, because you're the prime audience, and you've been such a steady friend for me through so much, and there's still more to go, and I can't wait to continue on having the adventures and the fun that we're having. November 1st, we're going to be at a concert that we haven't been to one in a while. Gonna go see Zach Sabbath, the Zach Wild Black Sabbath cover band. Looking forward to that. But brother, I love you. I appreciate you, and thanks for always being there. And yeah, it's a lot. 10 years. It's hard to believe, but here we are. And if I forgot you or I didn't say your name and you had any hand in this or any part of this, you've ever come across me, or you've ever been on the show or anything else, I can't say enough how much I appreciate your time and your love and your effort and your help in keeping this, whatever this is, rolling. So now, Jez, with that being said, we got a bunch of Q&A questions. So you know what
Sweet.
that means. Not that one. That one. Q&A time. So I did ask our Discord if they had any questions about us or the show or whatever that they never had a chance to ask and get answered, that they should do it now. So we've got a few coming out of the gate from Replicant. We have, these might be a bit lame. They're not lame, and you guys may have already covered this, maybe somewhat. So feel free to not to use them. But why did you choose your faction? And second question, if you could forget one WoW expansion that you completely forgot and replayed it for the first time, what would it be? And I think we've talked a bit about our faction love. Alliance fits with my sword and shield fantasy. This is the knight in shining armor thing. That's why I picked the human warrior of the Alliance, because it is just that kind of quintessential thing. And because I don't live in a place that has fucking castles, it's all like, so far away and mysterious to me. So yeah, that's the fantasy right there. And of course, no debate, Wrath of the Lich King. If I could forget all about it, its setting, its quests, and its music, and experience all that for the first time, that would be the one. But for you, Jez, why the Horde, and what would that expansion be?
Man, I like the Horde because I'm emo, basically. Nah, I mean, kind of. It's like I just like the Forsaken. I gravitated straight to Forsaken when they're announced. Like, I can play as a fucking zombie. Let's go. I love this Forsaken lore, everything about them. I mean, Forsaken lore is kind of cooked now, thanks to Blizzard's handling of the whole Sylvanas thing. But yeah, I also love goblins as well. Like, I just like in every game I play, I like to play the evil stuff. I don't know why. Maybe I've got issues. I don't know. The outcasts, the downtrodden, all that kind of stuff. Maybe it's where I'm from. I don't know, because like I am from somewhere where there's castles everywhere. There's a castle up the road. It's just like castle, meh. And I moved to a place in Germany, which as well, there's castles everywhere. It's just like meh,
Yeah.
castle, meh. But not many places where I can be a zombie. So yeah, it's just I just like them because they're emo. I like dark things. I like listen to goth metal and all that kind of stuff. Not the power metal, melodic, happy metal that Berzerker often listens to. I like the depressing metal.
Yeah.
Metal that you want to cut yourself to, But what was the other part of the question?
What expansion, if you could forget about it and replay it for the first time?
Honestly, I think Burning Crusade for me. It's Burning Crusade for me because it was the first expansion. Obviously, I played in vanilla. And I was still so excited about the game back then. I still love the game, but it's sort of like, it's almost like, I don't know. It's just something I do now. I still love the game, but it's that sense of wonder. Just when you've been playing it for 20 years, I don't think you have that anymore. But going to because I had a lot of nostalgia for Warcraft 3 as well. So going straight into the Dark Portal and seeing Hellfire Peninsula and all the skulls on the floor and the music, man, just that sort of or dark organic organ music starts playing the moment you step through the portal, which is 100 times bigger on the other side. It's just like, wow, this is just absolutely insane. And it was so different from the base game, so alien. We're literally on an alien planet, but literally speaking, on an alien planet.
Yep.
So that was it for me. I like Wrath, but as a raider, I feel like Wrath had a lot of issues. Naxxramas too easy. Ulduar was perfect, But then Trial of Crusader was awful. I think Trial of Crusader is the worst raid they've ever put in the game. I hated that. So like I know a lot people have a lot of nostalgia for that expansion, but I think the context cycle wasn't spectacular. And maybe I'm misremembering what Burning Crusade was like, but I felt like the content cycle in Burning Crusade was like a bit better. And I don't know. And I might be misremembering that nostalgia goals or something. But yeah, Burning Crusade was just such a time in my life, I think. I was also unemployed. So I was like, all I was doing all day, every day, was playing Warcraft.
Same during Wrath for me. So maybe the unemployment is the key here. Is when did we have the most time to play?
Yeah.
All right. Next up from Snope, it's an alternative timeline where you decided to main a different class, but you're still doing the podcast. Which class did you choose, and what ability did you name the podcast after? If it wasn't Warrior, it would be Paladin, and it would be Final Verdict. That would be probably the name of the podcast. And instead of doing a weekly rage segment, I would probably pick something where there had to be like a courtroom, like a verdict. And so it was like, is this thing shit or not? Verdict, guilty. Like, this thing is shit or whatever. Like, that's probably what it would be. Something like that. Some kind of Paladin thing, because that's you know. Or it'd be a Death Knight thing, but I didn't really look at the Death Knight stuff. But Paladin, that's probably it. All right. Next up, Allie. Why did you start podcasting to begin with, and what keeps you going? What are you most grateful for in the last 10 years of podcasting? I started because of ego. I started because I thought I could do something and I could do it better than other folks. And I got another question here that I'm going to answer a little more fully later, but it was 100% ego, and I thought that it would be easy and I could do it. That's essentially why I started. And I felt like I was in a place where I could do it. What am I most grateful? What keeps me going? Honestly, it's the people. It's right now. It's getting to come on and talk to Jez, and sometimes to myself. It's always fun. That's fun, and I need fun right now. We all need fun right now. So that's really what keeps it going. And then most grateful for, I know it's cliche, but it's the people. It's the people. The community that we're in now, I horribly misjudged at the start, like housing, things that I'm happy to be wrong about. I horribly misjudged, I think, the podcast community. Not all of it, but I think enough of it where it's like, there's good people here. So, but for you, Jez, you got Christ, you got 2 podcasts. What keeps you going in the podcasting landscape?
It's kind of like, for me, it's adjacent to my day job. It keeps me sort of like, it gives me an excuse to double down on research and things like that. And for my other podcast, monetize that.
There you go.
But honestly, like the way me and Rand started was we were talking about Xbox in a Skype call, and Rand had like these insights that I'd never heard anyone talking about, and I was just like, shit, we should live stream what Rand is saying, basically. And I was like, we should do a podcast, man. There was other Xbox podcast dudes doing it. I suppose part of it's ego, but I wasn't by myself, right? Yeah. So I was just like, I want to monetize Rand, So for me, it was greed. And now I'm like, oh, this
goblin spirit.
This Berzerker Rage guy is like pretty good. I should slowly, gradually convince him to put this on YouTube, and then slowly, gradually convince him to make a Patreon. Slowly, gradually convince him while you do all the work.
Yeah. How'd that work out?
Yeah.
Well, we'll be on YouTube. Probably not the rest of that stuff, but YouTube, we're gonna give it a shot. So, those are good reasons.
I'm a goblin, man. What can I say?
You're a goblin. You have to. What are you most grateful for in all these years of life?
The money.
There it
Thanks
is.
for all the money. Nah, it's honestly, it's the community is amazing, you know, because game journalism can be, as you probably aware, full of very, very upset, angry, hateful people. Especially if you're covering Xbox for some reason. I don't know what it is about Xbox, but people get really, really mad about Xbox. And I suppose part of it is because, you know, Microsoft's a big, nasty corporation, and they are, you know. But I'm just kind of like, hey, don't shoot the messenger, you know.
Yeah,
Kinda,
I believe
sometimes. But you know, like I'm dealing with this whole thing today where some website put out an article saying like Xbox is being kicked out of Target and Walmart, and it's just like, you know, I ask around, ask my sources, and then got a statement out of Microsoft, and Microsoft's like, no, it's not true. It's probably just one shop. There's just so much misinformation out there. But if you dare to correct the misinformation, people hate you, man. You know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So
Very true.
the community that we build around these podcasts, like you really find the true fans, whether it's Warcraft or Xbox. You know, people are just, you know, they're not negative all the time. They don't want to see the game die. They don't want to see Xbox die, and they'll criticize Warcraft or they'll criticize Xbox or whatever. But they, at the end of the day, they want the feedback to be constructive, and ultimately lead to a better product or a better company or whatever it was. Like we weren't podcasting together when Blizzard went through all that, you know, turmoil with all the scandals and stuff, and like I'm sure that was weird to podcast through. It was weird on because like obviously Blizzard wasn't part of Xbox at that point, so we didn't really cover it that much. But you know, Xbox has had its dark times too. Like this summer, laid off hundreds of people in the gaming division, and then 8,000, I think, across the entire company. Many of which were now in Blizzard employees. So there's sort of like this intertwining thing. But you know, finding those fans and that community is really what I'm grateful for, and also the money ain't bad.
There you go. Get that money. Make that paper. That's what they say. All right. Next up from Cyrub, from Scrubs versus the World, another great Warcraft podcast of the past. Yes, Cy from Scrubs versus the World. I know you're a man of the metal. What are your top 3 songs you go to for your warrior needs? And those top 3 would be probably in this order. 1, Sons of Odin by Manowar. Second up, Mjolnir, Hammer of Thor by Amon Amarth. And 3, Primo Victoria by Sabaton. Not on the album I mentioned earlier. It's on a different one. But those are the 3. Off the top of your head, Jez, you got 3 metal songs, like your top 3 are like these are my Warlock doom metal songs or anything like that?
Man, that's kind of hard because like the way I listen to music, I just listen to the whole album, and then I end up never remembering what the songs are called.
There you go.
I've been listening to Tooth a lot recently, which is like a doom metal thing.
You mentioned them, yes.
Yeah, I absolutely love that band. That's very, very Gul'dan coded, I suppose. But they've got a song called I can't remember what the song's called, but it's the last song on their second album, and it's about, I think it might be called Saturn the Devourer. It's about that painting, Saturn devouring his son. It's a very, very, you know, goth kind of song, metal song. So I recommend that. That's the one I can think of off the top of my head. But I'm listening to that new Deftones album a shitload recently as well. I don't know any of the song names off that at all. And the other one I would think of is like that famous song by Black Shape, which is, you can't even pronounce the name of the song because it's a huge string of random letters. So yeah, you go to Black Shape on Spotify, look at what their top song played is. That'll be mine.
That's the one. Okay. All right. Next up from Chat Van, I still need the story about your name, bro. If you're still taking questions after 10 years, what keeps you playing WoW? Is it the memories, the familiarity, inertia, the story, you know, and whatnot? It's kind of all of the above, really. And sometimes it's different things at different times, where I think, like you mentioned, Jez, playing Warcraft after this long, being dedicated to any kind of activity for this length of time, it is kind of like like a real true love of your life, where initially there's this infatuation period where it's just really, it's the new thing, it's hot, it's heavy, it's whatever it is. But then it evolves into something else over a long period of time where it's, I think, more meaningful and it's deeper. And with Warcraft, I always want to know what the story is, good, bad, and different. I always want to know what's next. I'm invested in certain characters, so I want to see what happens to them. It is kind of a familiar place to go to when I need to escape. Hey, I need to kind of jump in and do something different to get away for a while. With the housing thing, I feel like there's a lot of times going to be spent disappearing into that. That'll be a nice kind of escape. Inertia, yeah, sometimes I'll be honest, it does feel like I was like, am I doing this just because I'm doing this? Like, is this just out of habit, that I'm doing certain things? Sometimes it does kind of feel that way. And nostalgia, yeah, being able to go back and see a place and a thing, but it's really different things at different times. We all take breaks. I think those of us that have played long enough, we take breaks, some longer than others, but I think that's really important to keep things fresh or to get those energy reserves back. But that is what keeps me playing and keeps me vested and interested in Warcraft. But Jez, you played longer than I have. What about you?
Man, I love the gameplay, like just genuinely. I love raiding. I've always raided forever. Whenever I play, it's because I want to raid. I used to role play a lot as well. I just don't have time these days. So like for me, it was like bouncing off raiding and then bouncing off RP a bit. I loved writing stories. Like I'm a professional writer by trade. So like I saw RP as like a great way to write character stories without having to do all the boring describing what this looks like bit, just writing dialogue basically.
Yeah.
And we wrote some really great stories. Like we role played the whole Wrath of Lich King campaign back in the day.
Nice.
RP walking across the entire continent,
Wow.
and then battling through every zone, doing the big RP battles, and then it was awesome, man. It was so cool back in the day. So nerdy. I completely concede that, but yeah, it was fun as hell. So I genuinely just still love the game. I still love retail. A lot of people I often see these memes on Instagram where people argue back and forth about like, oh, classic is so much better, and I'm like, no, it wasn't. People act like classic was more complicated. It's like, bro, my damage rotation in classic was Curse of Shadows and then spam Shadow Bolt, one button. People say like the one button rotation's easy. It's like, bro, that was what classic used to be like. It was the whole game was one button rotation.
There it is.
But yeah, I do wish the story was better. Sure, I got a lot of reservations about the way they handled the story, and I think we could have a wider discussion about the patch cadence is very nice and fast now, but I think it feels so fast they don't iterate on the story enough, which damages the lore in general. But
yeah,
yeah, man, I just love the game. There's no other way of saying it.
There you go.
It's awesome.
There you go. Next question. What podcasts inspired you to start making your show? It was, as the aforementioned, The Converted. It was being friends with people who were making something, and when I was part of the Convert to Raid Guild, it was a time when it was like a concentrated creative time where you had all of these people in the guild that had podcasts. And I mean, you basically just trip across any number of podcasts that were out in 2015, 2016, and there was probably somebody who was in the Convert to Raid Guild. It was a huge guild at the time, but it was just, there was just a lot of it going on, and I was younger, a little angrier, so I felt like I had something to say, honestly. And I don't know that I've ever even admitted this out loud on this podcast, but a lot of what it was that I was being ignored by the leadership of my own guild, who happened to have a podcast, and I hated it. And so I felt like I would rather that God be angry at me than not know who I was at all. And so I started the podcast as almost like a poke in the eye to the management who wouldn't give me the time of day. And that's pure ego speaking of like, I'm going to do this thing. And you go back and you listen to it. I'm very open about people, podcasting from their ivory towers. And like, that's who I was talking about. I was talking about Pat Crane. I was talking about the people, doing the Convert to Raid podcast. I was in the fucking guild. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not saying it does. It was a strange time. But that was kind of the genesis. And then I had these friends and team leaders who, were part of this podcast about the guild that I loved, and I loved them, and it was always fun. And I'm like, yeah, this the whole kind of brew of it together. It just created the perfect situation where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have equipment. I don't have nothing, but I'm going to figure it out somehow. And that's how it all started. But it was the Converted. That was really the one that got me. But how about you, Jez? Did you have a favorite, one that got you going?
Well, I think like I think it might be why we get on a little bit, because like I actually became a game journalist for the same reason, spite.
Spite. That
yeah,
might
so,
be the word for it. Yeah.
Yeah, there was this guy I didn't like in real life, and because he was friends with a good friend of mine. No, he was dating a good friend of mine, and I thought he was a piece of shit, and he treated her like a piece of shit. And frankly, but what I couldn't do anything about it, So I just used to make these sort of petty swipes where possible, kind of. And he was this big Apple fan, huge Apple fan. He had Steve Jobs' book on his coffee table. He had a Mac in the room. He had really, this is like 2012, 2013, something like that. And I didn't even have a smartphone at the time. I think I had one of those dumb phones.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, you should get an iPhone." He was always telling me to get an iPhone. So to spite him, I got a Windows phone.
No.
The least iPhone phone I could think of. And Windows Phone was in this weird place where it was just like how do you use this phone? It was like it was a niche phone. It had a really niche community, and one of the only apps that worked on it was Twitter. So like I got on Twitter from that, and then from that I discovered the Windows Phone community through Twitter, and then from that I started tweeting about Windows Phone at work during the day, and then I started blogging about Windows Phone, and it's like, oh, Windows Phone has Xbox on it. And then, yeah, you can see where this is going, right? So it was the spite that drove me initially, and now I've got an entire career built on hate.
Look at you. See, you made it work. This just became a sad little hobby for me, but you actually like blew this whole thing up and made money off it. So that's the right way, folks. If you're gonna use spite as a motivator, follow Jez's example. Don't follow mine. All right.
We'll get there, man. We'll multiply our hate together.
Yeah. last question as we wrap this up. If and this is from Tetsemi, if Monk had been available when you started playing and one of its talents was Fists of Fury, would you have played it, and would the show title still be the same? I've never played Monk. I'm just going to tell you right now, I never played Monk. I have no desire to play one. They could have an ability called Berzerker presents Unshackled Fury, and I probably still wouldn't play it. So no, the show title would not change, and I've never played Monk, but I like the way you think, Tetsevi. So appreciate what you got there. All right, we are more than 2 hours in. I think, Jez, we've done enough damage for one 10th anniversary episode. So for those who don't already know, where can the good people find you out on the internet?
You can find me, Jez Corden, JEZCORDEN, on pretty much everything. Blue Sky, Twitter, and well, I say pretty much everything, but it's just Blue Sky and Twitter. I don't really do it. Social media, and also Windows Central. And YouTube, I suppose.
There you go. All right. My thanks to you, sir, once again for joining me on this ride, and my thanks to all of you for watching or listening. to me now and to us, or to me over the years, and those that have been with me. Really means a lot to have anybody else that really cares about this thing. So thank you for hanging on for this ride and continuing on as we will. And you can always follow me and this show on Twitter, although I'm not using a lot of social media these days, but we're still out there at Berzerker Rage and Unshackled_Fury. On Blue Sky at Berzerker and Unshackled Fury, as well as on Twitch at Unshackled Fury and Real Berzerker. You can also join our Discord, links for which are in the profile of the show on Twitter and on our website, unshackledfury.com. It's still there. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise through any of those resources, or or email us at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com, and you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you for listening, and remember, keep your swords wet and your banners high, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.